Hello, my name is Emma. I'm Emma, and I'm going to be presenting my art portfolio today. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah. So, this is my portfolio. As you can see, I took the liberty to make it a little pretty. I love peonies. That's what these flowers are called, and they're my favorite. And I just thought pink and green and this font would go well with my portfolio. So I even tried to just pretty up the presentation as a whole, not only, well, because it's presenting my art, so it's important. So first we have my artist signature. When we were asked to do this assignment, I was like, oh, well, that's not as creatively, difficult for me because I already have one, but it's fun because I got to show you and I got to show people my signature. And this developed when I was in middle school. So I was like 13 or so, I think. And there was a boy that doodled his name in a similar way. Not really, like, this is original, I promise, but he did something like what you can see on the top and the bottom of my E. And I thought that was so cool, so I played with it a while, and then I eventually, did this, and this has been my signature for a very long time. And I think that it's a very good, subtle indication that I did it. I've never wanted a signature that's out there that's like, wow, Emma did this. I just want it to be like only I would know or only people who know me would know that it's by me. Cause yeah. Also for Paleolithic painting, my sculpture is based off of the Paleolithic period. It's based off of this sculpture I saw of a bull. And then I really wanted to paint this, but I didn't want to just paint it to make it look like it was made of marble or something. So instead, I painted on it Paleolithic paintings as well. So I kind of mixed different things from the time period together. Um, so you can see I'm actually proudest of this side. This is a famous piece of artwork, a Paleolithic artwork, but this is just like the cave paintings in Spain, and I'm actually really proud of this because this bull is very small and I think the hands look really good. So then for our Islamic art section, I did this portion of the stars and the design, although Alice and I worked together on deciding everything about these basically. But this was really fun to cut in an origami type of way, all these shapes out and then glue them down in a pattern. And then we ran out of time, so we were frantically trying to finish these, but it was a lot of fun and it's really beautiful. And I like to think that mine does some justice to an Islamic style tile system like this. Um because I think it looks really nice and I think that this could totally be on an actual wall somewhere. Or at least I like to think so. So I'm proud of how it came out, and I think that it was really cool to do this because I love Islamic style art like this and flourishes and so on. When it comes to my personal map, it's really, really complicated. There's a lot going on, as you can see. It took up the whole page. I remember when it was held up in class and I was asked to talk about it, I was just like, there's not enough time because there really isn't. And that's because this map contains my whole life, basically. I can't explain it in 1 minute. However, I'll just say, it starts in the middle here with the sun with a heart in the center. And that's because it's supposed to represent how my life, is oriented around love and positivity and happiness, and it swirls around like this, and then it ends with this drawing done by a giant hand. So I can't talk about this for too much longer, but basically it starts from the moment I was born to today, and this hand that is still drawing is representing the fact that as I was sitting here drawing my personal map, I realized that it's not done yet. Like, there's still things going on. So this hand is still drawing and it has this like heart shape, but it's still drawing and it fades into nothing because that represents how there's still more to be added to this map, and my story isn't over yet. Also, here's my dog in the corner. So this is my entry for Women's Day, and this is my inspiration. It is a painting by Lita Cabellu, and this is my rendition of her painting. And I'm pretty proud of this one because it took me uh, probably 20 minutes. That's about as long as we had in class to do this, and so I am pretty proud of it. I just think she looks weird in comparison to her, but whatever. So, Lira Caballu was my inspiration, and she was born in 1961 in Spain, and she now works in the Netherlands. She went to college there, and she is well known for her large scale fresco style, but more modernized now paintings. She's extremely creative. She had just started doing some opera scenography, so she writes, she sculpts, she does everything. It's crazy, and she's also recognized as Spain's third most valued artist. The painting that I recreated is I like sadly couldn't find the name of it, but it's like located in South Korea, and I love her random bursts of color in the painting. I love the model's face, and I love how her hair is so crazy. It just looks so cool, and it's really interesting. So our visit to Maka was really cool, especially because it's one of the, or if not the oldest, building in Alicante, which was super cool. I thought that was the coolest part, probably. But the art inside is amazing, and I really enjoyed looking around. And when we saw the Eusebio Sempere section of the museum, I really loved his pieces that were like this on cardboard with these colored bars and this illusion of shapes inside. I think it's really cool. Oops. And I think it takes a lot of like patience and dexterity definitely to like not have such a shaking hand when you're doing this. I know I would have a hard time doing this. And then my favorite sculpture of his was this one because it spun, and as it spun, the viewpoint of it changed, and it looked like it was moving. It was really cool. And I think it's cool how it's geometric. And then my favorite piece of art in the whole museum that was not Eusebio Simpere is this statue, because it shows the illusion of someone's shadow that's standing where I would be when I took this picture. But there's actually no one there. And then there's this statue of what appears to be a man with his hands against the wall because he's gotten arrested for some reason. But if you actually look on the other side of the statue, he doesn't even have a head. And in fact, the front of the statue is completely empty. Like, he doesn't have a front of his body. He only has so much that he needs to give this illusion. And I also think it's super smart how the statue casts a real shadow, which makes you think that the fake shadow is even more real. So it's just really creative. Then we have pop art. So for my appropriation uh, work of art for the pop art section, here's my concept art. I decided to take an object that is extremely familiar to me and combine it with an object that is just very, very common where I live, which is a hydro flask. This is a water bottle that everyone has, and they're all different colors, but everyone owns one. Not everyone, that's an exaggeration, but it's everywhere, and I don't think there's anyone that doesn't know what a hydro flask is. So, a Pokemon card is what this layout is based off of, which is something that I love, and since I was little, have always been able to recognize. So that's why it's in this format. So, and I was inspired by the Campbell soup cans and the Marilyn Monroe montage because, like, it's like you take, or not Marilyn Monroe, sorry, the comic book thing, because it just takes something that you already know, but, like, twerks it a little bit. And yeah. And then for transformation, oops, For transformation, I transformed a book using mirrors. So it would have mirrors for pages, except for this one page that would say words cannot define you, and then you'd be looking down at the book, so like your reflection would show only halfway right here, and then your reflection would be weirdly like spanned out right here, giving a weird effect. And then on the front cover, if you looked on the other side of the book, it would say who you are in cutouts of mirrors. So I just think that would be really cool. And then for my juxtaposition, I drew a self-portrait of myself and then colored it weird here. And in each picture, I also colored a different part of the self-portrait. This one is the one that was inspired by the Marilyn Monroe piece because it's just like the way it's torn up and it's like rearranged in a different way. But yeah, I thought this one was cool too. So here is my art project for the modernist slash graffiti art because I got confused with the assignment, unfortunately. So I do have my modernist drawing of El Castillo in the background here, with which I did with colored pencils. But on top I have graffiti, a graffiti aspect, and I'll explain that a little bit. So this reflects on my personal experience in Alicante because what it says on top of my drawing is Él está llorando porque su gente está muriendo. And yes, this is very sad, but it's because there's the legend of the king that's crying over the loss of his daughter. But I decided to tweak it a little bit because in my experience in Alicante, it only seemed like everything was weird and sad because of the virus, and it seemed more like he was crying over the loss of his people of Alicante towards the end of my stay in Alicante. Lastly, my favorite graffiti artist that we saw was Seal Tres. And here is a work of his that I think is in a parking garage. I don't know though. And this is another one that is in Cartagena. So he, the Japanese manga inspired piece is called Initial D Tribute and was done in 2014. This was done in 2018 and is labeled with coordinates and Landscape Cartagena, which I'm pretty sure that's the name of the piece too, because Landscape Cartagena is English and Spanish, so I think he named it that. But there's no way to be sure. This was just like what the photo was called along with the coordinates on his Facebook. He's not very well known. He only has 2,500 likes on Facebook, which surprised me because he's so talented. So I think I'm going to follow him on Facebook. And he tends to use these moving lines to create a 3D effect, even in his smaller works on wood, which can be hung in homes, which he uses enamel on wood to create a similar effect to this. And even with his non-geometric works, for example, like this and others, he still implements a 3D effect. So I think he really just enjoys to create illusions and to make something look like something else. Thank you.